Warning, the views and opinions expressed in this presentation are those of the producer and those appearing in the show and do not necessarily represent the views of DerryCam, the town of Derry, or any of its staff or affiliates.
Hi, I'm Anthony Henry. Welcome back to America's Ass. We're on episode 44. This is the last show of the summer. School starts tomorrow for me. So, to anyone watching that goes to Pinkerton or any other schools, have a great school year. For me, at least, it's going to be tough. This is junior year. It's the year that really matters. It's the year where, you can't really screw up. It's the last chance before college admissions and all that. So, I wish everyone luck. And but we're here. We're here on the last day of summer vacation. And we're going to do it. So I'm here with Representative Ralph Boehm of Litchfield. He's running to be state representative again for Litchfield and Hudson. So take a minute to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Ralph Boehm. I'm from Litchfield. I've lived there for 48 years, I believe. And right now I've been state rep for 16 years. From 2004 on, and I skipped to one when I ran for state senate, which Litchfield is kind of hard. It's Litchfield and 5 wards in Manchester, which doesn't make any sense at all. So that was hey, I didn't think I was going to run, but I needed some time off anyway, so which was good. And so I wasn't planning on running this time, and I actually got somebody to take my seat in Litchfield, but then the seat opened up, the floterial seat between Hudson and Litchfield. There was a married couple that had that seat, and they decided not to run, and they looking for somebody. I said, I'll take one of the seats. So I'm running now for the Hudson Litchfield floterial seat. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on, and I know you do a show of your own in Litchfield.
Right.
What's the name of the show?
Well, it's legislative update. I do it during the season. I've done it during the season. And most of the time, your reps, Erica Leon, has co-chaired it with me. So we go over what happened during the week, what bills are, good, bad, or whatever. And we've actually done sometimes 2 half-hour shows at once because if a lot of things are happening. But usually we've done it like usually every couple of weeks and during the busy time of the year. This time, maybe I'll do it in Hudson, and with some of the Hudson reps, we'll see how that's gonna go. But it's a good show to let people know how they can access what's going on, because a lot of people know, how do I find out what's going on? And we go over that. So what bills they know, when to go up to Concord to testify, and that's really helped.
So I met you about a week or two ago, and all the other Hudson candidates at a candidate night. I was advertising high school Republicans, so I met you there. And there's been a few issues in Hudson recently with the school board and Title IX. So, and any viewer of my show knows my struggles with my school board, but I want to get some insight into that. What's going on with Hudson School Board?
What the final thing is, what I've heard has happened, they decided to follow the lawsuit. In other words, they're not going to allow boys to play in girls' sports. And so they're going along with that right now, but know there's a lawsuit against that, so we're going to see what happened. So, there have been issues with that. I think once it came out with the Olympics, I think fixed a lot of that. With they kept Leah Thomas from swimming. There's never been an issue of girls playing in boys' sports. If they can make the team, fine. The problem is, what boy can't make the girls' team? With strength and stuff like that. And I remember when I was in high school many, many decades ago, if that was the thing going on then, I know of at least 5 guys who would have taken over the girls' basketball team, just to say they did it. So But the problem, and I mentioned this when that first happening, and it's happened. Girls are going to get hurt, and that's happened in volleyball, and over the past year, and even basketball. I mean, come on, we don't need that. I mean, it's physically differences. You know, girls playing in boys sports fine. The girls have played football, the kickers and whatnot. Football is a wide range. You got all different weight differences and speed differences. But when you get to sports where a male actually has an advantage because of their physical strength, their upper body strength, I mean, it's not fair, and the height differences and stuff. So yeah, hopefully, you know, here you have a male that was like 144th in male swimming and joins, and he comes up being the state champion or the national champion for swimming in girls swimming. I mean, hello, there's a big difference there physically. So yeah, it's hopefully we've gotten away with that, except for one thing in the Olympics. They did have a male boxer from Algeria that won the gold medal, big surprise. The thing is, I think they need to do back in the 70s and 80s with the Olympics, they had a problem with, I believe East Germany was faking it. They actually had males as women in weightlifting and stuff, and they did an XY test. They need to do that again. Period. Don't say, you know, let's do an XY test. If you gene is XY, fine, you're a male. Period. You know, and stop. No, the testosterone levels or no. Just go. Let's go back to the old way.
Yeah, and as we've mentioned before on the show, particularly when we had Senator Lang and Senator Avard on the show, we talked about the bills that they had wrote and voted on, and those bills reached Sununu just a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and it was a very mixed bag. He signed a couple of them, he didn't sign a couple of them. It was very disappointing to myself and many others. I hope the next legislature, General Court I should say, and the next governor, assuming it's a good one, will, you know, renew that fight.
Yeah, I think it will. The only thing that, and this was started by Sununu. Back, 6 years ago, I mean, the Democrats had the House and Senate. They passed a bill which started this. Even though we had tried to get Sununu to veto it, he wouldn't. He signed it in the law which said that schools have to let them in and they can sue the school. You know, and that's what's we're now. So trying to overturn that, most of it has been, except, you know, the courts are fighting it. Somebody's fighting it. But the one thing he vetoed was the boys in the locker rooms. You know, and that's always that's gotta be a problem. Schools just gotta say no. I mean, you know.
And I believe that's what the main fight was about in Hudson, correct?
Oh, I believe so, yeah. But I mean, come on. I went to a thing a few weeks ago with Riley Gaines was there.
Yeah.
And I mean, her thing is here. They're in the locker room getting dressed and whatnot, and there's a male naked getting dressed. I mean, come on, that's not right. What parent would want that? I mean, guys in the girls' locker room, you know.
Yeah, I know some people that were at that event as well, and Riley Gaines is really an inspiration.
Right, yeah.
Because not only does she excel at her sport, but she also fights for her sport.
Right.
And what's right. For women's rights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, I mean, you're running a somewhat contested campaign, kind of, technically, even though your opponent, you and Kim's opponent, former Representative Kim Rice, is running with him.
Right.
They had an opponent that dropped out, correct?
Well, he's still on the ballot, unfortunately. Yes. He dropped out after. The problem with that is Kim Rice and I come out as the only two people running for state rep that are endorsed by the state GOP. Mainly because our majority leader endorsed this third person that's running in the race. The guy moves into Hudson a month before, he rents a room, months before filing. And filed that, you know. That's like somebody moving into Derry, running for town council, and moves in a month before. You don't know the town. You don't know anything. But he also ended up finding out he had a criminal record. He was a convicted murderer. You know, yeah, you served his time, but still, you don't want that on your record that your opponents can use against you. So he suspended his race. So it's just Kim and I, but there's the three of us on the ballot. So
Yeah, I can't think of anyone that would want a convicted murderer representing them in the state house.
no, or
So,
somebody just moved in 30 days, rented a room. Doesn't even,
Yep.
He still lives in a town near Keene. So I mean, hello, what's wrong with this picture? I met him. He seems to be a nice guy, but still, wait a minute. You don't know the town. How can you represent people of Hudson and Litchfield if And I represented Hudson, Litchfield, and Pelham back in 2002 to 2012 when then Governor Gene Shaheen vetoed the bill and the courts did it, and they didn't like the word floterial, so it was Litchfield and Hudson and Pelham 13 reps. So ballot was vote for no more than 13. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah.
People can't count the three. But I mean, I'm joking. But I mean, 13. But no, you don't have to vote for 13. You can vote for 2. Type thing. But
yeah, Derry actually, I believe we have the most representatives in a single district at at right now.
Right,
we have 10.
yeah, and that's what I think. At least cities, they ward, like the wards in Manchester, are pretty much the same size of Litchfield. So like 8,500 to 9,000 people. I mean, which is just like the size of Litchfield. So they're small. And I think big towns like Derry, Londonderry, Merrimack should also ward. I mean,
We do have, we call them districts
Right.
instead of wards, but we don't use them at the state level
Right,
for
I
some
know,
reason.
yeah.
We have 4. In my opinion, we should have 8 reps, 2 from each ward.
yeah.
And then,
Well, no, it still goes
Yeah.
by population.
True,
So
yeah.
there'll still be 11 total somewhere, but they
Yeah.
represent. But the problem, they tried once years ago to try to think of doing that in Hudson, but they found most of the reps lived in one spot. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard, but still, yeah, I think the big thing, and you got so on election night, you got all these ballots that have to be counted and not counted, but verified and all that. And even in Nashua and Manchester, yeah, it's a big city, but the wards of 8,500 people. So maybe 5,000 the most voters.
yeah.
As compared to how many in Derry?
Well, we have just under 35,000 people total, and I believe around 19,000 registered voters.
Yeah, so 20,000. I mean, yeah, that's got a lot of votes, a lot of ballots that have to be, make sure that they're right. Yeah.
And moving on to Derry's race, we have a really interesting situation with our state representative race. We have, in the Republican primary, we have 11 people running for 10 spots.
Right.
All 10 of our incumbent representatives are running again, and we have one primary challenger, Jim Dietzel. I believe all 11 of them, all 11 of the candidates are very worthy. I believe all 11 of them would fight for our values in Derry.
Right.
And I just think it'll be really interesting because it's 11 running for 10. There
Right,
is
yeah.
absolutely room for one incumbent to get knocked out. I don't know who
Right,
that would be
yeah.
yet, but it's really interesting. And on the Democratic side, again, there's 10 seats. Only 4 Democrats signed up, which means there's going to be room for the Democratic Party to basically implant their own candidates.
Yeah.
I have some theories on who that could be, possibly some people on our school board, maybe. Like I mentioned earlier, every viewer of this show knows my struggle with our school board. There was rumors of some of them running in the Republican primary to try to squeeze some of our good Republicans out of there.
Right.
But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. And Derry's not the only town this is happening.
Right, well-
Primaries are, Hampstead too. Lily Walsh and Joe Guthrie are the incumbents, and they have Cale Houston running as a primary challenger to them. So I think it'll be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, and Hudson they have 6 of their own. Yeah, Hudson and Litchfield together if you do the math, it comes out we have perfect 10 reps. Okay, so how this stands now, Hudson got 6 reps, Litchfield got 2 reps, and then there's 2 floterials between Litchfield and Hudson, which makes up the 10. The thing is also in Hudson, only there's 4 Democrats running for the 6 seats.
Yeah.
There's only 1 running for the floterial. The problem is we do have in Litchfield, there are 4 people, Republicans, running for the 2 seats.
Yeah.
So that could be a problem there. Yeah. Also, when you mentioned the school board, brings up the parental rights bill that we kept trying to pass this last couple of years, but we only have maybe 1 or 2 person majority, which means we don't have a majority because there are some Republicans that aren't Republicans. Yeah. So we couldn't get parental rights done. But the school boards on their own can do that. I mean, they can give the parental rights to the parents and stop the schools from, my thing about it is the children belong to the parents. They do not belong to the school district or do not belong to the state. And my thing is state money should follow the child, not follow the school, in which, the EFA is the thing. But I mean, then that would force the schools to be more competitive. New Hampshire's got a problem with every district, every town and whatnot, unless they do a co-op, has their own school district. It's not like that, say in Florida, for example, and a lot of the Midwest, they're county school systems. So people can go, like in Florida, if you live in the county like Miami-Dade, Dade County, you can go to any school in the county. Even though you don't like the school across the street, you can go to, because it's the county school system. And that way the schools start being competitive against each other to, hey, we offer this, and we offer that. So, so that's that. But I've always thought of the thing of, for example, if a child in Litchfield wanted to go to Londonderry, why can't they? Right now it takes both superintendents to agree. My thing, why not? Why don't we make it so only the receiving superintendent has to agree? Because I mean, one of the things, well, we'll get the base football players. What's the problem with that? Londonderry, people will look at college level, look more at a high school Londonderry team than a Litchfield football team. I mean, the bigger school, they play more competitive. Other hot big schools, so why not? But yeah, there is a problem there with. So a lot of private schools, and even though New Hampshire Constitution says money can't go to a religious school, that's been proven. Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court has said no, that's unconstitutional all across the country. So that's not an issue anymore, even though it's still in the Constitution.
I can almost guarantee you Derry's school board will try to fight that.
Yeah, but let them. There are law firms that will take it for free.
Yeah.
Because the Supreme Court has already ruled that the Blaine Amendment is unconstitutional. And that came back from the late 1800s when Senator Blaine, I believe from Maine, tried to put it in the Maine Constitution. Maine said no. So he got it in New Hampshire and a lot of other states saying that no, money can't go to. And back in, you figured, the 18th and 19th century, most of your quote public schools were religious schools in your small towns. Where were they? What took place in the churches?
Yeah.
But then, even in Boston, but then what happened was too many quote Catholics moved in, and they couldn't get. No, we're not going to give Catholic schools money. But wait a minute. So that's how all that started. It was we're not. So it was more of a religious thing than anything. Racist. I mean, religious bigotry.
Yeah, I almost went to a private Catholic school myself. At the end of middle school, I wanted something different. I almost went to Trinity High School in Manchester. I ended up deciding to go to Pinkerton anyway, but I mean, just having the choice, I think, is really important.
Right. And Catholic schools now, I'm not Catholic. Everybody can go to them. I mean, the best one I saw was a movie called St. Vincent when the
I know that
The
movie.
kid goes in there and he said, and the brother was teaching the class. It was we lived Catholic school, and he said, and the kid said, "Well, I think I'm Jewish." And the kid said, "Well, I'm Hindu. I'm this. I'm this. And this." A small minority was actually Catholic in the school. So yeah, it's not. It's a different education, you know.
Yeah, and I was at the State House when when they were taking up the parental bill of rights. I remember half the room was wearing those yellow scarves. I
Oh, right.
remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that, and I remember the energy in the room when it failed. Half of the room groaned, half the room cheered, half the balcony cheered, half the balcony groaned.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a close issue. The problem is they always make the argument, because I was on education for 12 of my 16 years and election law for 4 of the years, and the big thing, it's the amount of people that come in against it. Yeah, they're school teachers. I mean, they're taking the day off from school to come in and testify. They're against it. I mean, but I look at it this way: the real people, some of them are afraid to come in and speak, you know, because what's going to happen to their kid? You know, that's a big issue. You know, so, and they're working. They can't take the day off and not being paid. The teachers are still being paid. They're allowed to take so many, you know, and those kinds. So it's a big problem.
Yeah, and I guess one last topic before we end here. We have what is probably going to be one of the most competitive presidential elections ever. And I say it, I believe I said it in one of the previous episodes. I took a break from this show from March to August. Well, maybe late July. And so much happened in that span. We had a near presidential assassination. We had a coup against Biden, and I'll say it again. I am nowhere close to a fan of Biden, but it was still a coup against him.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a coronation of Kamala Harris. She didn't get one vote from anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a primary, but it was a closed primary. Biden has got to be it, period, you know. So, I mean, then in 4 years before that, she didn't get a single vote, and she dropped out before they even had the primary vote in Iowa. I mean, so she never got any vote at all from anybody, and yet now she's running for president. I mean, you know, like, and they're the ones saying we're for democracy.
Democracy only when convenient.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And-
yeah, it's bad. And then now she's saying all the stuff that she was for a month ago. Now she's or against a month. Now she's for. Like, no, I was never for EV vehicles. Hello, wait a minute. Here's the bill you did when you were in the Senate. You know, and here's what you said when you were vice president. You're for a border wall now, but wait a minute, you're always against the border wall. So I mean, it's just, and you're not for taxing tips. I mean, just because Trump said that he was against it. One thing I'd like with Trump, let's stop taxing Social Security.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
And that's the problem with a lot of senior citizens. And even myself, I'll say that the only reason I have to pay any income tax is because of my Social Security. Yeah, so yeah, that's one thing. I'm waiting for her to come out and saying the same thing that Trump did on that. Yeah.
She did just announce she is doing her first interview. It is not by herself. She will be alongside Tim Walz.
Right. Yeah.
That should be really interesting because, I mean, the person who is interviewing her is
ABC.
very much a partisan reporter.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's not going to go too much.
Yeah, and I guess another thing, do you think Donald Trump will go to the debate? I'm hearing a lot of rumors that he's going to try to duck it.
But I don't think he's going to duck it. I think Kamala Harris is going to duck it. He wants her to debate her, just like Biden.
I agree.
I think she'll just cackle. I mean,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he was a debater just to show, and that was too late for him to come up with somebody else.
Yeah.
So
we are just about out of time. So feel free to give a closing statement.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, I mean, if anybody in Hudson or Litchfield is going to see this, please turn out on September 10th and vote for two of your best. And my thing in Litchfield is Rich LaSalle's and Kim Queenan is my two choices for the Litchfield seats, and myself and Kim Rice for the Floterial in Hudson, Litchfield.
Great, and I mean, yeah. Thank you for coming on.
Thank
I,
you.
I wish you and all the other Litchfield Hudson people luck.
Yeah.
And one more thing before I go. I already said hope everyone does good in school. It's going to be a tough year for a lot of us, so
Yeah, good luck.
just do well. Don't slack. And the other thing, I said it a little while ago, but reach out if you want to get involved in high school Republicans. Please reach out. I'm pretty easy to find. We need members, so I mean just keep fighting. You're not alone. I'm always here, and we need to take back our country.
Yep.
Because, and I'll leave you with this: to anyone that's running for office, whether it be Republican or Democrat, I want you to think of something. With the decisions you make, with the bills you sponsor, and all that, are you going to be leaving the next generation, which is myself? Are you going to leave us a mess, or are you going to leave us a legacy that we can build on?
Right, yeah.
I want every elected official to think about that, including you. I'm Anthony Henry. This has been America's Ass. Thank you for watching.